This is Kit Andis, your recovery coach, coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. As you may have noticed, we are approaching the holidays. And I'd like to talk today a little bit about how we as people in recovery, whether we're early on or later, but especially if we're early on, how we navigate and get through the holidays in a safe and sober way. One of the questions I would ask is how important the holidays are to you. You know, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever your holiday is for this time of the year. And whether or not you want to participate with your family and loved ones this holiday, especially if you're very new in sobriety and recovery. And one of the things I will talk about are connections to your family and friends. One of the worst things for people in recovery generally, and especially in early recovery, connection to others is very important. Isolated, we tend to turn to our drug of choice because it's no fun to be alone. And when we are alone, or at least this was true for me, when I was alone, I could drink the way I wanted to or needed to, and not have to try and appear to be like other people, and have one, maybe one and a half, and let it go at that. I needed to be alone where I wasn't going to be judged for how much I drank. And holidays are not a good time to be drinking like that, for sure. So anyway, I would, I'd think about how important the coming holidays are going to be for you, and why. Why are they this important? Are you feeding off of happy memories of past holidays when you were still welcome at your family's gatherings? Are you longing for forgiveness from your family for your behavior at times in the past? That can be a very powerful motivator to want to go home. I spent my first Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year I was living in a halfway house. I'd gotten sober in October, and then I had, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's right in a row. Now, my nuclear family were all deceased by the time I got sober. I had a significant other, but we were estranged, and so I really had no place to go. And that turned out, I think, to be a good thing for me. I spent my Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's with other recovering people in the Midwest, and I know elsewhere in the U.S. There are recovery clubs, and they often will have Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, and on New Year's sometimes they have dances, or they may do alkathons around the clock to provide some place to go for people in recovery, so that they're not having to go out to the bars with their old friends and find some way to get in trouble. I would urge you, if you can't go home again Thomas Wolfe, if you can't go home again, at least not initially for the holidays, find some recovering people, either at a sober living place where you are or at one of the various recovery clubs, and hang with them for the holidays. So I had sort of indifferent memories of my holidays with my nuclear family once I was past the age of 8 or 9. I mean, they were okay, but there wasn't a lot of family tradition wrapped up in them, and so I didn't have that bank of memories like some old Hollywood movie playing over in my head. My reasons for wanting to go to my significant other's parents for that first Christmas was I wanted to be forgiven. I wanted to be invited back into the fold. And I felt very sorry for myself when that didn't happen. I laid around the halfway house, with the sour look on my face, feeling sorry for myself when I wasn't, at a dinner or something with other recovering people. So, it's worth taking a look at those feelings, maybe doing a little inventory on them, and talking to a sponsor or mentor or someone else who's got a little more time than you do in recovery. Because you might surprise yourself that what you think is valid and true about your memories aren't really valid and true. If you are planning on going home, if you've actually been invited to come home or come somewhere for the holidays, are you excited about that? Or maybe, I know in many cases people are fearful. There are often a lot of buried feelings amongst family members toward you about your behavior in the past, or sometimes you may have hurt some people, said some vicious things, and that kind of turmoil that got stirred up over holidays, which it often does. You can hear a lot of sirens over Christmas and New Year's. But, I would try to think about that again, and maybe put a little bit down on paper in terms of what your mistakes have been with your family and friends and loved ones. And, try to understand their feelings from their points of view. Another thing is, how are you going to deal with it if, like me, you don't get invited? Are you just going to feel sorry for yourself, or are you going to be able to look at it from their point of view? It was a great story I heard from a guy I knew a little bit. He was, 3 or 4 months sober, and it was the holidays were coming up, and he had a business thing he had to travel to Chicago for, and his one of his grandmothers lived near Chicago, and he said, and I'll be passing right by, Grandma, and he said, I'll stop in, and we'll celebrate a little bit. And she said, oh, don't do that. She knew him well enough to know he was not sober nearly long enough to do that. And we have a lot of deep emotions, and we also when we first get sober, not real good at handling our emotions, because we've been anesthetizing ourselves for a long time. We didn't feel much of anything. And now all of a sudden, our feelings are right there in our face, and they can be difficult to navigate and difficult not to react to. Maybe your cousin Barney always said things behind your back about your drinking and how stupid you were in public and that kind of thing. And it's Christmas Eve, and you're at the family dinner, and there's cousin Barney, and what's he thinking about you, and what's he saying to the others about you when you're not in the room? So that kind of thing, which can easily, or at least for me, it did in early sobriety. My little committee in my head was directing a lot of my behavior, unfortunately. And so I was creating new lists of things I had to do inventory on down the road. And I don't like doing inventory, and I don't like making amends to people, so the less I can do things that I need to amend, the better off I am. The other thing is, maybe your family's like my friend's grandma, you're not going to get invited. And what's that going to do? What kind of resentments are going to grow out of that? And what kind of self-pity is going to grow out of that? They may have very good reasons for not inviting you based on behavior from you in the past when you were drinking and using. I went to a niece's house once for a party, and her kids were coming home, and her sister's kids were going to be there, and any number of them were using drugs and drinking a lot and all that. And she told me to make sure I hung on to my wallet, because if I left anything lying around, or my girlfriend left a purse laying around, you could pretty much count on money disappearing. And that was kind of sad, You go to a family member's house, and you gotta feel like you're in Times Square. You gotta keep your hand on your wallet. But that happens, and so you got to understand that sometimes people, especially people who don't have a problem with drugs or alcohol, they've spent years trying to understand your behavior and the things you said and did, and things that were very hurtful to them often, and they don't know how you feel about the world and how you see things. They just don't know. And so they're a little hesitant, you spent 10 or 15 or 20 years as a kind of tornado going through their lives, and all of a sudden, you went to a hospital, you had some treatment, quote unquote, which they don't know what that's about, and suddenly you're saying, oh, I'm all better, I want to come home for Christmas. And they're like, I don't know about that. So I would try not to be too judgmental toward them if they're not ready to crown you sober at this point, or crown you recovered. It may take some time. It may take, because I don't know about you, but every time I screwed up, I was full of I'm sorry, I won't do that again, and I know that must have really hurt you, and I'm so sorry, and I won't ever do it again. And then days, weeks, a few months later, I did do it again. Over and over and over this happened. And even people who are really close to you can give up. They can just decide for their own welfare, for their own health, and peace of mind that they need to do without you. And when people recover, I know this was true in my story, and I think it's true in a lot of stories. I mean, I know many, many people in recovery, after some sustained period of recovery, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, when people see what you do and not listen to what you say, but actually see what you do, and you do the right things, and you stay sober, and you stay clean, and they notice that. And many times, for many people, you do get forgiven, and you're able to forgive yourself and forgive them, others too, who may have not reacted to you in a nice way. But time takes time. At 3 months of sobriety, you can't have the resources of a person with 20 years clean and sober. You just can't. I mean, time takes time. So give yourself a little bit of a break, and don't build up a lot of expectations around whether you do or don't get invited home for the holidays, or how people are going to perceive you, because that's really none of your business. What other people think of you is none of your business. They are free agents, and they're acting for their own benefit. So that's one other thing here, to go over is, if indeed you are invited to come home for the holidays, can you manage your expectations about what's going to happen and how people are going to behave and treat you? And I know I told you about going home that first Christmas to my girlfriend's family's home for Christmas, and they, especially, when I got sober and would go be there on a visit, we would walk in the door, and it's like a 5-hour drive, and we were tired, and they would immediately ask my girlfriend if she wanted a beer, and then they would ask me, do you want a soda? And I copped a little resentment about that, and I said something to my girlfriend about it. I said, I'm the one who's going to decide whether I drink or don't drink. If I want to drink, I'm going to drink. And I said, it's a little belittling to me. So the next time we happen to go up there, 5-hour drive, we get there, we're tired, and my girlfriend immediately goes to the kitchen, to the refrigerator, opens it up and said, Kit, do you want a beer? And I said, no, not really. Do you have any sodas in there? And I saw the look on her parents' face, and they realized then that, you can't protect me from me. You need to be able to let me protect me from me. And, and I do that with the help of all you people out there in recovery, the people I see in meetings, my sponsor, the people I sponsor. My whole family is in recovery, so I have a lot of people I can be accountable with, or who will hold me to account for sure. It takes time to not want to drink. It takes time to not want to use, and it's not automatic. And just because you have 5 years doesn't mean you're not gonna, be kind of interested when you see all those beers in the fridge. It takes time, and I hope you have a good holiday, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.